Okay, we are here and ready to get going. So while we are just waiting for a few more folks to join up, I would love if anyone joining us could go in the chat box on the right side and go ahead and tell us where you're joining us from today. So we're going to be talking about, case studies, how Fort McMurray Montessori and a few other Montessori schools went from low enrollment to being at full capacity with a waiting list in under 6 months. And I'm really excited to be talking about this. We actually tried hosting a webinar a couple of days ago. There's a bit of a technical challenge, so for any of those folks joining us that were there on Tuesday, I'm really sorry, and I'm really happy that you came back to get this information. So we've got some folks joining us. We've got Joelle from Alexandria, Louisiana, and we've got somebody that I'm going to be honest, not sure how to pronounce the name. I don't want to offend you with the wrong pronunciation, but wow, joining us from Konkarta, India. That's amazing. I have to say, you are the first overseas. Well, that's not true. We've had people from the UK join us, but definitely from the east that far, first time. So welcome, and please feel free to spell your name phonetically for me so I don't butcher it. We've got Lisa Walsh. Lisa, you're with us. That's great. Thank you. We've got Lisa from Calgary. Hey, we got some great folks in Calgary that we work with. Donna Butcher. Donna, you made it back. And I take it you guys can hear me now. So we're going to get right to it. But anyone else that joins, hopefully you won't miss anything from the beginning. But I don't want to, given what happened on Tuesday, we're just going to move forward. So, before, just so you know, I'm not making this stuff up, but I want to show you a few case studies. So this is Fort McMurray Montessori, and so over 6 months, they were able to increase their enrollment by 40. So, as she says here, before working with Hubbli, we didn't know how to reach our enrollment goals. I thought it was something I should know how to do myself, but I was just too busy running the school to learn how. So the reason why I'm showing this, because that's a very common scenario. And folks, I'll also say, make sure you stick with us to the end, because that's how you'll be able to. We're going to do the question period will be at the end. As well, we're going to have that's how you'll find out how to get the ebook as well. So I do definitely suggest sticking around for the full presentation if you can. And then we can see in this image here how she was, what their inquiries were like on a monthly basis before and then after. Of course, it goes up and down, but you can see there's a substantial higher amount of inquiries coming in. And then another case study I want to show you is Global Montessori Academy. They got over 200 inquiries in 10 months. So, so Brian says this marketing service is great. We don't have anyone on our team who's a marketing expert. Even if we did, we really need them to be doing other things. So that's also really common, right? Like, how many Montessori schools have the budget that would allow for, having a real marketing expert, digital marketing expert on the team internally. And then, rare cases is it happens, but usually schools are not that lucky. And even if they were, there's so many things to be doing, and people running schools are pulled in 1,000 directions. So it gets really challenging. But we can see by employing the right tactics before, you can see the before and the after inquiries per month, and definitely a substantial increase there. So who is this presentation for? Maybe you're, excuse me, maybe you're a Montessori director or a director of admissions, or maybe you're an owner or a board member, or just a really awesome parent volunteer who's volunteering their time. And, you've got a great school with amazing teachers and children thriving from your programming, but you're seeing that it's getting harder and harder to keep the school full. So unlike 10 years ago, when all you had to do was have a great school and word of mouth referrals filled up your enrollment without anyone having to be a marketing guru. That's not the case. So now, with the rapidly evolving communication and technology expectations of your parents, um, you're probably finding that word of mouth referrals aren't enough anymore. They're still bringing in a lot of enrollment, but it's going down, and you don't have a predictable way to generate enrollment inquiries or tour bookings that allows you to have a predictable or efficient strategy for keeping the school full of the most ideal fit parents. Maybe you've tried ads, but it didn't work very well, or you're not sure how to track their performance. So maybe they worked a little, but you don't know how to improve them. And maybe you've asked a teacher or a parent to help out, but they're not producing the amount of inquiries that you really need. And they're not experts and don't have the time or really the inclination to put in the hundreds of hours that it takes to become an expert. And you've you've committed to your board and your staff that this year you would really focus on getting more families enrolled. You're pinned up against the wall, and you need more students quickly, right? Creates a lot of stress. Keeps people up at night. You think about the families you've enrolled that you thought maybe weren't the right fit, but you took them anyways because you really needed that tuition to be able to pay the staff, the payroll and mortgage or whatever that is. So maybe you're learning a little bit about digital marketing, but you're struggling to implement the teachings, right? So that if you don't get more students quickly, you might even have to let some people go. In the worst case, of course, or maybe even shut down the school. That would be absolutely, the worst case scenario. You've probably heard of things like SEO, search engine optimization, or Facebook marketing, but you don't know really how to use them because there's hundreds of ways to use them depending on the type of business that you have or the type of campaign you want to run. Or you've learned a little, and what a lot of schools tell me is that they blow a lot of money on using these tools without getting any results. But you've got a great school with real magic happening in the classrooms. And all you need to do is get more parents doing tours so they can see it and hear it and feel it. But you just need help getting the right parents in the door for those tours and those open houses. And once you kind of crack this code, you'll be fully enrolled with a waiting list, and then you'll have more time to get back to the real reason why you do what you do, which is the joy of educating children and parents. If you're in this role, you're obviously smart and you're passionate, and you have lots of wisdom to share with people. You just need the game plan really to pull it all together. So now here's the core concept, and if you can understand this, everything else will probably make a lot of sense. Number one, the only way to grow your enrollment consistently and efficiently while also reducing your marketing budget is to use digital marketing tools. And number two, most Montessori schools in reality don't have the sufficient digital marketing skills in-house and need outside help. And so, Hubbli provides the ideal solution for Montessori schools. And you can, then you can focus on what you love doing most and keep your school full of the right parents. And, and if you hand off your marketing strategy to a team of experts, experts in Montessori enrollment marketing campaigns, no one else is really offering that service and giving you a system that automatically manages the entire process. So who am I? So just for some quick background, after 15 years of building school management solutions, I was always bumping into this issue that was never really directly related to the solutions I was providing, but it was always there causing problems for our customers. So I decided to dig into this issue, and after hundreds of hours of conversations and analysis, it was really clear to me that there is a really big knowledge gap in the industry around how to manage communication with prospective parents. And as you can see, I've started my own family recently, and I wanted to do something about this, not just to make sure my kids' schools are, running optimally, but something that'll work for everyone's. I also want to take a quick second to talk about our team before I jump into the real meat and potatoes here. So we've got a wonderful leadership team. So this information I'm giving you is not just coming from me alone. It's coming from working with schools, but also working with a great team. So myself, I'm the founder of CEO of Hubbli. Mark Selden is our chief technical officer, so he's on our executive. You may know him. He's also the founder and director of the Center for Guided Montessori Studies, which is the largest Montessori teacher accreditation organization in the U.S. We've got Teresa Beretta, who's the director of operations. We've got Naomi Moscow, who's the customer success manager. And we also have Sanad Sajir, who's our technical support lead. And so we've got a wonderful leadership team. And also our advisors are also amazing people. So we've got Tim Selden, president of the Montessori Foundation, and he's a wonderful author as well. Jonathan Wolf, who's the founder of Life and Montessori, founder of Learning for Life and Montessori Leadership, also a consultant with the Montessori Foundation, and also Fred Mednick, the founder of Teachers Without Borders, who's also a wonderful individual to help guide us in the right direction to make sure we're, not just providing the right solutions for schools, for Montessori, but also learning the way we need to learn. So what's the problem? So why has enrollment marketing become such an important topic? It used to not be really the top of mind thing, but now it seems to be what everybody is talking about. So if you look at the graph on the left, you can see there's been huge growth in the number of private schools in the U.S. over the last 25 years. It's actually grown by 25% in the last 25 years. So the growing number of options for parents is making it much harder for Montessori schools to maintain their enrollment. Well, at the same time, if you look at the graph on the right, the majority of people running the schools are coming from an education background, not necessarily an MBA, not necessarily digital marketing gurus, and even though those school directors may have business backgrounds too, they're finding it difficult to spend the required time to become marketing experts because, let's be honest, you're usually already overworked and underpaid as it is, and people didn't get into this role really to fiddle around with marketing strategies and digital marketing tools, and to exacerbate the problem a little bit further, or maybe a lot further, the average age of a school director is 49. Whereas the average age of a parent coming into a school is 28. And these are very different demographics. And every year, the people running the schools are usually only trained as teachers, and they're getting older. And while their customers stay the same age every year. So over the last decade, especially as communication technology keeps changing rapidly, this divide has become more and more extreme. So the first main point I want to cover today is a very common mistake that we see, generally speaking, across the board. Your ads and your website are not the right place to sell parents on the Montessori method or on your school. The goals of your ads and website is to sell the right parents on booking a tour. So most of our customers have not yet tried using Facebook ads for enrollment. Some of them have, but the ones that have, they usually tell us that they've lost a lot of money on them without getting any results. And here's why. One of the most common mistakes we see Montessori schools doing is writing their ads and their website content as if they are speaking to a parent that already knows they want to send their child to a Montessori school, specifically Montessori. And that might sound like it makes sense, but here's the truth. The parents that already know they want a Montessori school are going to find you without your help. You should not be paying to advertise to those parents. The parents you should be spending your marketing budget on, your limited marketing budget, are the ones that want the values offered by the Montessori method, but don't yet understand what they are really looking for is a Montessori school. Personal story, case in point, when my wife and I went to see the Montessori school that our children are in, it was, my wife is actually an early childhood education, early childhood studies expert. She's a parenting coach, but she wasn't really that familiar with Montessori. And so she, it's just like she knew that there, good things about it, but she just didn't know. And then we went in and we saw it, and she was just totally blown away. Like she didn't come from a Montessori background, but once she saw all the things that she understood that she was looking for in a school were there, built and much more fully baked and integrated into every facet of the experience from a child, for a child. It was just like there was a no-brainer decision there, right? But she didn't know about follow the child, and she didn't know about the pink tower and all these specific tools and strategies and methodologies. So here's an example of a school that was making the same mistake. They're called Rising Scholar Montessori. And on their main website, it was all about Maria Montessori and follow the child, and endless paragraphs about Maria Montessori's philosophies and research. The problem is, again, it was really perfect for someone that is already sold on Montessori, like myself. That's good for me as far as, if I went looking for a school, I'm searching for Montessori in Google, right? But it was really bad for somebody that wasn't already bought into the Montessori method, especially with understanding, like, not being able to translate the Montessori lingo. So now that doesn't mean that someone who isn't already a Montessori parent isn't a perfect fit for your school. It just means that you need to translate the benefits of Montessori into natural language that they will understand. So let's take a look at these examples. You'll notice that the only mention of Montessori is in the name of the school. Otherwise, the language, though clearly describing the values of a Montessori education, has been generalized. And we got this language directly from parents, the parents that are actually enrolled in the school. So I'll talk about that. So the best way to write ads and website copy for your ideal target, and this is a marketing best practice, is to learn how they would naturally speak about the values that you offer. Then use the language that they give you word for word, in your ads and in your website or any other marketing material you have. So the easiest way to learn this is to identify the parents you already have at your school that are, you just see as your favorite parents, right? The ones that you just like to clone and wish everybody could be like them. Then you want to ask them some very specific questions that will elicit long-form responses about how they benefit from your school. So don't think of a survey like, 1 out of 5 or 1 out of 10 type of thing. You want them to be writing. You want them to be thinking and writing. Then you want to take the language from those responses and use them word for word. And you might think, oh, like, people go to school to learn copywriting, and they go get, master's degrees in marketing, and, shouldn't they know how to word craft things better? But the reality is, any marketing professional worth their salt understands that if you ultimately want to sell something or attract people, you need to speak their language. You need what they read needs to resonate with exactly how they would say it in their own head. Then what you want to do, obviously, is so you're going to want to also test a number of ads, right, to see which one of these phrases or value propositions perform better. So you'll find, generally speaking, the 80-20 rule always plays out, meaning 1 or 2 of the versions of the ad will just hit it out of the park. And then some will be just okay, and then the rest they'll just fall flat. So, then you want to stop running the ads that are not performing well, of course, and focus on the one or two that perform the best, and of course keep them running. And you want to keep on trying different versions and seeing if you can, sort of optimize it further and further. So getting back to Rising Scholars Montessori, so I want to talk about tracking. So here's an example. When we first started working with Rising Scholar Montessori, they had no idea how much they needed to budget for marketing. The main reason why they didn't know that is because they had no idea how much it cost them to generate an inquiry. Knowing what to track is really critical. Usually when I speak to a school that has been trying to use Facebook or Google or other digital tools, I ask them how it's going, and they usually tell me that it's not going well. That's usually what I hear. I always follow up with asking them how much they're spending per inquiry, and no one to date has ever actually known that number definitively. The one metric they usually do tell me is how many clicks their ads are getting, or how much their cost per click is. And that's because that's like this kind of the standard metric that Facebook or Yelp or Google Ads, they give you that information, but that's really the only metric that actually means anything and actually tells them how well their campaign is performing is the cost per inquiry, because there's many different kinds of campaigns, and every kind of campaign is the success of that campaign is tracked by different metrics, different kinds of metrics. So no one has ever known that number, and they think they have to kind of do the math themselves, and they have to sit down and tally up all their ad clicks and divide that by how many inquiries they got from Facebook ads or Google ads. They also think the only way to know who came from Facebook is to ask the parents when they speak to them on the phone or come in for a tour, but that's really not definitive by any means. I mean, people might have seen you in Google and Facebook and in a newspaper. They don't know what, it's not that you don't know. It's too muddy. So, or maybe they just don't remember. But one thing that's great about Facebook ads is if your system is set up correctly, meaning you know how to tie everything together, it will report to you exactly which inquiries came from the ads, even which ad produced more inquiries, and exactly how much you are spending per inquiry. So, let Facebook do all that math. That's what they're really good at, and I'll show you in a few minutes. That puts you in a position to know exactly how much you need to budget for marketing later on. So one thing that most people don't know about Facebook advertising is that how you set up the targeting is just as important as how the ads and the landing pages are designed. And this is kind of what I always say people is the secret sauce of Facebook ad campaigns. It's what makes them so powerful, and in my opinion, a much better advertising platform than any others, specifically for Montessori school enrollment campaigns. So just as you need to design and test multiple ads and multiple landing pages, you also have to test different targeting strategies. You want to make sure that you're targeting the right people. So when you get started, the first thing you have to do is you have to cast a wide net and then see which demographics show the highest engagement, so that you can start filtering out the people that are less likely to schedule a tour. And this is how you get to, so and sometimes the increments are kind of large, but incrementally, every time you test something, you look at the results. Facebook breaks it all down for you. You can see very, very easily who's actually responding to your ads, and then you can stop showing it to people that are less likely to, so that you don't have to spend money to market to people that are less likely to end up enrolling. And not only can you target people by demographics, Facebook knows a lot about its users, right? So it also knows, it allows you to target by their interests. And this is, again, what makes it super powerful. So the right approach is to find the right interests of parents that are a good fit for your school, the ones that again are like the the parents that you love that are already enrolled, and in those areas. But again, you want to cast a wide net, and then you want to track to see which targeted interests show the highest engagement. It's much like the age demographics or the gender demographics. So then you can start removing interests from your targeting strategy so that you're not paying to advertise to people that are not most likely to click on those ads and schedule a tour or sign up for an open house. So just to take a look at this diagram, um, so uh, so every area is different. Same thing with the demographics. In some areas, different ages will be more engaging with the ads. Usually, it's mostly women that are engaging the ads between the ages of 25 and 44, which makes a lot of sense given that's the age of parents that are enrolling their children in your school. But in some different areas, different regions, you get more grandparents involved, and it's just a cultural change from one area to the next. So it's not like one size fits all. You do have to got to cast that wide net. You got to make sure, you know. So another thing you want to do is that you want to do that with interests. You want to talk to your parents, and you want to get a good idea of the things that they are interested in so that you can start hitting people that are like them. And so what we see here, just to give you a little bit of context, the highlighted column is it says CTR. So what that means is click-through rate. So again, so you've got impressions and then clicks and then click-through rate. So it's just a ratio of how many clicks in comparison to how many impressions. So just so you know, write this down. Any click-through rate above 1% is good. I mean, that's the starting point of a good click-through rate for a Facebook ad. So here we've already whittled down a bunch, and we've got all of these are pretty good. They're ranging from 1.56 up to 3.3. 3.3 is excellent. So in that area where they are, early childhood education was, a very high interest for their prospective parents in that area. And here's another reality about creating successful Facebook ad campaigns that a lot of people don't know. You should not expect it to work well at the very beginning. And you may even need to see what doesn't work before you can identify what does work. So that's not to say that you can't just start off seeing inquiries come in right away and have success out of the gate. You can, and oftentimes that's what happens. But the reason why Facebook ads are so much better than print ads is because it's really easy to improve the performance of a campaign by over 400% with a few tiny changes. Now, with Facebook ads, you can make changes on the fly while the campaign is running, which is amazing. You can't do that with print ads. You put an ad in the newspaper, right? You can't change it. You just got to hope for the best. So this is how you identify what works and what doesn't. And if you notice, let's just take a look at this image. We've got 3 different campaigns. The first one, campaign 1, when it was originally launched, it got 6 conversions in that month. So not amazing. And again, the most important success metric to track is cost per conversion. Now, conversion, you can just change the word conversion with inquiry. So cost per inquiry was $42. So that's, it's actually not that bad given, how much revenue comes in from tuition, but we knew that we could do a lot better because we just started out of the gate. So campaign 2, pardon me, much like I said, you have to identify what's not working. So we wanted to improve it. So we had a hypothesis and we put it into campaign 2, and that hypothesis was dead wrong. That campaign fell totally flat and got no inquiries. But what does that mean? That means that clarified what was working in campaign 1, because campaign 1 was a mix of a whole bunch of ads, up to 50 different ads running with all these different versions of headlines and all that stuff. And we're tracking each one. different videos, different copywriting, different value propositions we learned from the parents. so, um, so we in campaign 3, because we got campaign 2 to clearly tell us what was not working, then we knew what was working, and we were able to optimize that a little further. And then they got 33 inquiries for a cost of about $10 an inquiry, that's a really good result by any benchmarks of this type of campaign for any business. That's a very good result. So you want to keep on testing until you get it right, and then you can just keep on testing and make it better and better. And once it's set up and it's running, testing it further, I mean, you don't have to be, the hard part is setting things up the right way. There's 100 different settings. Anybody can do it. You can just follow the manuals if you've got the time and the inclination, but getting it started is the hard part, and getting to a good ad performance takes some knowledge. But because again, there's all these different testing strategies, but once you get there, small little tweaks, it's really easy to test a different headline and see how it does, or swap in a different picture, things like that. And anybody can do that, because it's really just logging in, going to one page, and trying a new headline. It's like using Word at that point. Really simple, because all the hard stuff is done. So my next main point about a really great enrollment marketing system is that you should never be following up with prospective parents manually. The goal of your admissions process is to be professional and standardized. That is what parents want at this stage of the relationship with the school. So I'm going to get some kickback on this, but one of the best ways to impress prospective parents today and build a sense of trust is to show them that you are extremely well organized and that your office is run efficiently. At this stage of your relationship with them, this is critically important for getting them from inquiring or showing interest into the door for a tour, right? And I'm only talking about that stage. I'm not talking about what's going to help them, what's going to actually make them decide to enroll their child in your school. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm simply talking about this stage in their decision-making process. This is a big decision for parents, and where they are mentally in the mental model of decision-making. If you study cognitive psychology, I have, you really have to understand how to communicate to anybody that's making a decision, especially a really big, important one. Not only is tuition a big expense, but also just this is a huge decision. We're talking about the future of their children here, right? So, excuse me. So the good news is by having a system that operates efficiently, you can create the margin in your day to focus on building those deeper relationships with your enrolled parents, right? That's when you need to be very personal and very not standardized, right? But with new prospective parents that are just inquiring, that they're not looking for very deep relationship building communication yet. So think about how many steps are involved from the point of when a prospective parent first contacts you to when they eventually enroll in your school. All of these steps are currently usually being managed manually by folks in the office, right? So, we have a customer, Toby, from Village Montessori School. Like most Montessori directors, she was doing just that. Everything was manual. Every time somebody inquired and came in for a tour, she would follow up with them over email, personalized emails written from scratch, every step of the way. This is incredibly time consuming. And while these messages were obviously great, at this stage of that relationship, the parents aren't really looking for that as much as they're looking for just a clear understanding of what happens next. So, also writing each message was taking her away from, countless other critical activities. And this is a very common practice. And it's also why so many directors tell us that they have a very hard time keeping track of the enrollment process. And what happens when a teacher gets sick and you need to be in the classroom, right? You get pulled away from the office, things start piling up, great prospective parents can fall through the cracks and end up in another school simply because they weren't being managed efficiently or in a timely fashion. And now Village Montessori has a system that sends a well-written email to the parents at the right time, 100% of the time. It's a well-crafted email. It's personalized with the parents' names and the children's names and the program information because they've given that information already through the system. And the system handles 90% of these steps of just reminding the parents, booking, giving a tour booking system and an open house sign up process. All of these things, and it makes it really easy to track and understand which parents are at each stage in the process all along the way. So, and that should all be automated. Now, so in the case of Rising Scholars, that campaign I was showing you before, what they have now is a dashboard with just a simple list that is easy to manage and track where everyone is in the process. The system is working in the background, handling all those emails and reminders and the form entries. And they've got one place to go to see the status of each parent that is currently going through the process. So let's walk through what needs to happen when someone inquires about the school. This is a standard process from an ad to an inquiry on a web page to a tour booking. So let's walk through this. The numbers that you see here are based on the numbers from Rising Scholar Montessori in that case study. So $1,000 marketing budget being spent. And again, we got an inquiry success rate of $10 per inquiry. So I'm going to try to get my little marker happening here and make this a little better. Anybody feel free to let me know if things don't work here. But so we've got $1,000 ad spend. Now the traffic is coming from Facebook in this case, but it could be coming from a website or from Google or Yelp or many other sources of traffic. And then it drives people down to this landing page. So a landing page is just a website. Okay, what a landing page is a web page, not a whole website. It's a web page that has very specific design rules that promote one main action that the user can take. So in that landing page, there's information about the school. It's speaking to, again, it's using that same language that you learn from those ideal, the favorite parents from the school, and they fill an inquiry form. Okay, now, so if that's $1,000 on the ad spend, and we think 10% of those people, so out of the $1,000, 10% of those people are going to fill out that inquiry form. So if they do that, then again, that's $10 per inquiry. And then what happens is, as soon as they fill out that inquiry form, they're directed to a tour booking calendar where they can self-book a tour that's just set up to, according to the schedule of whoever gives the tours. So somebody can just self-select a tour and it sends them reminders. So also, when they fill out that inquiry form, let's say they don't automatically schedule that tour, they can get some email follow-ups that are automated, maybe one a week, so it just loops through these emails and then drives them back to book that tour. And those emails are obviously well written, crafted, talking about the school, but really, again, promoting, kind of selling them on the idea of coming in for a tour to really understand, because that's what it really takes. It takes coming into the school. I have to say, guys, one of the biggest mistakes I see all the time schools doing is just, people call or they email and the school just sends them information as if a pamphlet or a PDF document could possibly communicate the value of your school. It just can't. They need to come in. They need to see it, and they need to smell it, they need to feel it. They need to observe, right? That's how, it just sells itself. They meet the director, they meet a teacher who's just passionate. They love Montessori. Easy. You don't even have to be a salesperson. You don't have to do any selling. You just have to be you and show them the amazing environment. So, and because that's the reality, we see a really high percentage of people that come in for tours end up, so let's say, sorry, one step back. People that sign up for the tour, you'll get a 70% on average show up rate. So 70% of those people will show up for the tour. They'll get, again, automated reminders about the tour that they scheduled, and that helps remind them. By the way, these automated reminders really impress parents. Brian Gordon from one of the first case studies I showed you about, he's told me more than one time that when parents come in and they've gotten reminders to show up, they are incredibly impressed. Think about how impressive that is. And by the way, they're even more impressed if they don't think you're doing it manually. That might sound counterintuitive, but parents today, the demographics of a 28-year-old today is looking for a school that is, on a management level, not a classroom level, but on a management level. They have the efficiency from technology so that they know they're not, managing stacks of paper all day rather than being face to face with children. So now they come in for the tour, they see the magic at your school, and 70%, we ask people all the time, it's the average enrollment rate from a tour, from being in the school, is about 70%. Some schools report a little higher or a little lower. We find 70% to be the average. So out of that, so what does that mean? All those numbers, if you do the math, that means you spent $1,000 on Facebook ads, and then you end up with 5 students. So that's $200 per new enrollment. Now, of course, you need a system that allows you to track those numbers to know that. But that's, again, if you know how to set it up, it's not that hard to do. Oh, got to get rid of that stuff. Okay, now we've got another one. So this is a more advanced version of the same system, but there's a secondary funnel added to it. So the goal of this funnel is to continuously follow up with the same people that inquired initially on that landing page, but the ones that did not end up coming in for a tour. So the way this works is you pre-write a number of emails that will be sent out to all of these, what we would call abandoned inquiries. They signed up, they filled out the inquiry form, but then you never got a hold of them. And these emails will drip out to the parents and invite them to any of your upcoming open houses, right? All by itself. The system's doing it while you sleep. You set it up, you set it, and you forget it. So let's walk through this one. Okay, so we can assume that since only really 93% of the people that initially inquired actually showed up for a tour, and there are many reasons why someone might not. Let's assume that out of those that, again, got 100 initially inquired, but only 93% of them showed up for the actual tour. So we skip down here. Those same people get put into these emails that just keep on sending out and reminding them, again, at a pace that's not overwhelming or going to turn them off, maybe once a month or once every 2 weeks, depending on how many open houses you have, really. And then, so we would assume that out of that 93%, 20% of those people will end up signing up for an open house. Okay, so 20% of that 93% sign up for the open house. So that's 20% of 93, actually, because we're talking about 100 inquiries. Then out of the people that sign up for the open house, since open house signups are a little less committal than private tours, let's assume that only 50% of the open house signups actually show up to the open house. So that 50% comes here, and they're getting, again, automated email reminders to show up for the open house they signed up for. And then again, they've come into the open house. That's where they see the magic. You've got that 70% enrollment rate from those families. So what that does is that adds 7 more enrollments, new enrolled students, with both of those funnels operating again, completely automatically. We've now hit a total of 12 students at a total cost. So if we take the original $1,000 ad spend, we've got the initial funnel that brings direct to the tour, and then the ongoing follow-up funnel all throughout the year, just running on its own. At the end of it, you've spent $1,000 and you've got 12 new students, and these are based off these, very well documented, success metrics between each stage. So you end up with 12 students, and that's a cost of $83 per student. So let's break down these numbers again. So a little bit differently here, because I want to talk about the value of having a good system, how it should actually sort of on the bottom line affect the school. So if you have $1,000 to spend on ads, right? So we're going to start with, we've got $1,000 to spend on the ads, and let's assume you have a campaign that's generating inquiries at like Rising Scholars, cost of $10 each. So that would mean you would get 100 inquiries, right? Same numbers I was showing you on the flow chart, and then 10%. So that would be a 10% success rate over here from that $1,000. Okay, so now let's assume that 70% of those tour bookings, right? We're going to assume that out of those 100 inquiries, only 10% are going to, let me just make that clear. Out of those 100 inquiries, only 10% are going to actually schedule the tour. And then, so you get 10 tour schedules. And then we've got 70% of the people that schedule the tour will actually show up for the tour. So now you've got 7 tours booked. And again, you've got a 70% success rate on the tours. So that comes to 4.9 new enrollments. So let's just assume 5, right? So you spent $1,000 to grow by 5 children, but it doesn't end there. Of course, you've got that secondary funnel. So again, it's safe to assume, so if it's set up correctly, you'll be sending those automated invitations to come to open houses that you're going to host all year. So it's safe to assume that if you send invitations to every open house, eventually you'll get at least 20% of those initial inquiries. We're just talking about 20%, not all of them, just 20%. You have to be realistic. So 20% of those parents will come to one of them. And let's assume that only 50% of those open house attendees enroll one child. Okay, so that would equate to 7 children, right? So we see how those metrics work. The 100, you've got 20, so that brings 20 people in. 70% of those people show up. That's 14 people show up for an open house, and then 50% of those people enroll, so you get 7 more students. So altogether, that's about 12 new enrollments, or 11.9. So we'll round it up to 12. And let's say your average tuition is, $10,000 a year. I know a lot of schools are lower than that. Some schools are twice as much as that, but let's call an average is $10,000. So that would mean new tuition revenue just that year of $120,000, right? So again, $1,000 up here. So you're spending $1,000, and that turns into, if you have the right system, to $120,000 that year. And then if you also multiply that by the average years a child is in a school, so that's usually 3, right? On average, depending on how much your programming is and your retention rate and all that stuff. So if you multiply that by 3, you're looking at a total tuition revenue per child of that $1,000 to be $357,000. That's, again, it's not a hard system. It just has to be set up right. So that's the secret. That is the secret here. So, having a very professional and efficient marketing system that takes prospective parents from one point of the initial interest and properly leads them through the process of booking tours and signing up for open houses so they can enter the environment that essentially just sells itself. I mean, some people I talk to think that they have to become, some kind of marketing guru, but they don't. It just sells itself. And then, what you end up with is a nice, right? So that system's working in the background, but so here's that case study on, here's the example of the dashboard, the enrollment, the admissions management dashboard for Rising Scholars. All that stuff is going on in the background. The system is sending those emails, and the parents are clicking on the ad. They come to that landing page. They get those email reminders. They've scheduled a tour. They show up. All that stuff is happening without you having to actually lift a finger, if it's set up correctly. And what you actually get is, you just get one simple dashboard. That's what, that's the way these systems work. Because all that stuff's happening in the background. That's just programming on a server running and doing everything. So you get one place to log in and see where all your prospective parents are, and you can see what stage they're at. And of course, all their contact information is there, and you've got all that stuff happening in the background. And and if you need to call somebody, you can check their stage, but no one's falling through the cracks, right? And a good system will also remind you when you need to take action. Okay, so last main point here is that you really need to stop using paper. It's one of the best ways to impress prospective parents is to and to build a sense of trust with them, is to show them that you're extremely well organized and that your offices run efficiently. But the good news is by having a system that operates efficiently, you create that margin in your day to build those deeper relationships with those enrolled parents. So if you can stop using paper, paper is an amazing, it just wastes so much time. It's just so slow. So what you want to be doing is, the different components of a good system has, so it gets rid of paper, uses digital forms. Parents prefer that as well. And it means that when parents fill out forms, whether it's an inquiry form or application form or whatever it is, they are they prefer it, but that information is automatically added to the database, and ideally parents should be able to log in and see what they have left to fill out for the process or what have you. Another good digital tool to use, and as long with digital forms, is automated appointment management systems, because they save so much time and they really impress parents. So if a parent hits that landing page, they click on the Facebook ad, they land on the landing page, they fill out the inquiry form, and then it automatically takes them to a nice scheduling system. That's going to be really impressive to parents, and it's going to save you a heck of a lot of time. These systems, this is the example of the Hubbli system. It, when they select their time, it sends them automatic reminders so that they show up, and you don't sit around waiting for somebody that even lets them cancel, so you're not sitting around waiting for them. And additionally, a good digital system will let you track every step of the way. So when you've got your whole system set up, if you stop using paper, it's really easy to know how each step in your process is performing. So, we were looking at those different metrics, like 10% of people fill out the inquiry form, actually schedule a tour. Well, if you're tracking that, then you can actually try something on the landing page, right? Maybe reword it a little bit, or change something, or change a picture, or whatever it is. And you can see if that percentage of inquiries to tour bookings increases. Because listen, the more tour bookings you have, the more enrollments you're going to have. It's all about getting people to the tour booking. So you can do all this stuff, right? Like, you see that, and if you just did these three things, you could be really growing your enrollment with the right kind of families and creating hours of margin in your day so that you can focus on things you really love to do. So you need to build targeted digital ads that focus on values, not specific Montessori philosophies, but the values that that people get from it and track their progress. And you need to use an automated enrollment marketing system that standardizes parent communication. And you want to use things like digital forms and digital calendars and scheduling tools rather than paper. Save you a lot of time and impresses the parents quite a lot at this stage of the game. So you want to be able to, I'm not exactly sure why you showed up here today, but I think I can guess in general. Like, I know you folks pretty well. I've been working with you for years. You want to be able to keep your school enrolled to capacity with a waiting list that is always staying at a consistent size. You never want to be worried about how you're going to, cover payroll. And you want to have enough inquiries coming in month after month, so you're not afraid to turn away parents that you know aren't a good fit for your school, because that's how you increase your retention rate and reduce the amount of problems and stress that you have. And you want to free up your time from boring, repetitive remedial activities like sorting through sheets of paper, so you can spend more time on higher value tasks and enjoyable tasks like being in the classroom or interviewing new family or working on programming, right? Or running a fundraiser to build a new school or something, right? And you know that you're capable of more and just need to get these roadblocks out of your way. And you want to give your prospective parents a communication experience that's engaging and informative and makes them look forward to enrolling their child in your school. So, what's stopping you, right? So maybe you can't afford to hire an in-house digital marketing expert. Maybe you're relying on parent volunteers, and that can be hit or miss, and you never really have their full attention. And even if you wanted to be honest, you probably don't have the hundreds of hours it takes to learn how to use these tools properly. So the reality is that you can do this, right? And you've shown up here today, you've made it a priority. Maybe you've taken some notes, and hopefully you're excited about making some changes, going in the right direction with this stuff. I want you to know that a really amazing enrollment marketing strategy can change your school, and it can change, to be honest, it can change your life. It can really make a big difference, but you've got to know exactly what to do at your school specifically, because all schools are a little different, right? Everyone's got different skills in their staff. They've got different parents. Every region, parents have different expectations, and that's where we've come in. So you've got two options. You can take the information I've given you here today, which is pretty high level, and then you can figure out how to make changes on your own. You certainly are all smart and capable people, but I'm pretty sure, like most folks in your shoes, you're really busy and you don't have the time to figure all this stuff out. So the obvious question is, how can you quickly and easily figure this stuff out for your school? At this point, before we get into our question period, where I'll be happy to answer all the questions you have for as long as you want, I'd like to take a quick minute to tell you about the Hubbli Enrollment Marketing Service. Do I have your permission to tell you about this service? So please let me know in the chat box on the right side. I'll just wait a minute while you find it, and let me know if you're interested in hearing about our enrollment marketing system. If not, I can just move forward into the question period. So feel free to either tell me, yes, you want to hear about this service and how you can learn more about it, or you can just you can just ask me to move on to the question period. Okay, Joelle wants to hear about it. Wonderful. So what we do is, as it says here, we design and manage Facebook ad campaigns. We build an automated enrollment marketing system. You get a simple dashboard. It's like everything I've shown you here today. That's all from our platform and from our examples of our service. And the system reminds you when you need to take action, right? And the system also guides the parents through the enrollment process. So again, we design these Facebook ads and your landing pages, and we design and test all your targeting strategies. We do all this inside your Facebook account from your school, so that you end up with a campaign that generates inquiries at a low cost. And all you have to do is simply turn it on at any point down the road to start to generate low cost inquiries from really great parents, and whenever you need to down the road. So we set it up so it works, and you get full. And then next year, you can just turn it on again. It's yours. It's not something. So this whole campaign is something that you can use for years to come. And we build and customize your automated enrollment marketing system so that parents get a very professional and very trust-producing communication experience from your school whenever they show interest. And because it's automated, it allows you to focus on other things while it fills up your tour calendar in open houses with ideal fit prospective parents. So it's got all the bells and whistles you need. It's got, has the web pages, the digital forms, automated emails, automated reminders, appointment scheduling system, and enrollment management dashboard. All of that stuff is all in the one system. And we love working with Montessori schools. In fact, we are dedicated to helping Montessori because everybody knows that education is the best way to fix the world's problems, and Montessori education has proven to be the best. That's why Harvard has research that proves that, and that's why Jeff Bezos from Amazon just created a $2 billion fund to make Montessori more accessible around the world. And I know I don't need to convince anyone here about the importance of Montessori schools, but I want you to know why we are so focused on helping Montessori schools. Because trust me, when I say like we could be focusing on other markets in or outside the education world and be providing similar types of solutions for those businesses that can pay a lot more money. but we want to make a real difference in the world, and it's not just about making a profit. This is the best way that we can actually help society. This is how we can do it. So the more Montessori schools that succeed, we firmly believe the better off the world is going to be. So again, so just to show you, again, so I'm not, I'm not making this stuff up. Fort McMurray Montessori got over 40 enrollments in 6 months. You can see the graphs where they were before and where they were after with the number of inquiries they were getting from our system. And one thing I think it's interesting that she says here, she recognized that after 1 week of engaging Hubbli's enrollment marketing service, she says, I saw inquiries start coming in from their Facebook campaign, and I even know exactly how much I spend per inquiry. That is information I have never had before. Now I know exactly how much I need to budget for marketing in the future. Again, it's not just about right now. It's about creating a system that you can use ongoing whenever you need to grow your enrollment, and so that you can be informed as to how much you need to budget for enrollment marketing in the future. As I go through this, I'm going to drop down a button on the right side that you can click on to schedule a free consultation. And now I'm going to show you also, again, that case study from Brian Gordon from Global Montessori Academy. From our system, he got over 200 inquiries in 10 months. And so again, he's saying in his quote here, now Hubbli has built a system that works automatically, and we can use it at any time we want, whenever we're not at capacity, or we want to add more families to our waiting list, which is also really important to consider. All we have to do is click one button to turn on tour bookings start rolling in, right? So that's what you should have. You should not be trying to figure this out every year. You should have something that works. So if you work with us, you're going to get to fill your tour calendar with ideal fit families. And that means families that are going to stick with you for your whole programming, because they're looking for what you offer. They have more margin in your day to focus on doing what you will have more margin in your day to focus on what you really love doing. You're going to automate your enrollment marketing system. You get to present prospective parents with a professional and trust-producing experience from the point of them inquiring about your school to the point where they come in for the tour or the open house, and they fall in love, because that's what happens. That's what happened to me when I went to my first Montessori tour. and you're going to get to increase your retention rate. Because if you start the relationship off right, you get the right people in the door, and that means you're not, you have way less problem families, because those problem families, they don't just leave and by themselves. They usually take a few other families with them. So you want to be in a position where your back is not up against the wall, and you can be more selective. And you need a very strong marketing system to put you in that position to be very selective. So now I want to invite you to book a free consultation. You can do it. You can click the button on the right side. Please let me know if you see the offer with that button, or if you don't. You can either click that button to go to a page and learn a little bit more about the consultation, what it's going to be like. Also, you can just go straight to hubbli.com/Montessori marketing. They'll take you to the same page. Do that anytime. And of course, I'm here to answer questions. So Donna, if you're interested, thank you. Again, you can click on that button on the offer, or you can go ahead and just go to hubbli.com/Montessori marketing. Would love to learn about your needs, see if we have a good fit. Are there any other questions about the topic today? Any other questions about what our service does? I'm here for as long as you need to answer any questions you have. All right, folks, does anybody have any questions about enrollment marketing? Oh, really? That's interesting. All right, Donna, I'll fix that button in a second here. I'll let you know when I've got it fixed. Okay, go ahead and try that button. Please let me know if that works. I'm sorry the first one didn't. Mary Gail, well, thank you for letting me know you're interested in the consultation. Again, it's free, of course, and the way it'll work is we will, initially just make sure that we understand, we're gonna want to learn about your school, what your needs are, and do a bit of a needs analysis, and then and then we'll be able to get clarity on whether this type of system is the right fit. And it's not the right fit for everybody, but some people come into the consultation and we find out that they have they've got enough skills in-house, and it doesn't make sense for them to to invest in a different service, and they just need a little bit of guidance, and our education content gives them that. but some other schools, they find that they don't, that they really, there's just no way they're going to be able to do it from their existing team, and so we end up being a good fit for them. And it also it depends. From some regions, uh, we'll have a very distinct culture with the parents there, and digital marketing is not something that they think their people in their area will respond to. It's a rare scenario, but but we want to figure that out with you. So that's what that consultation is for. So let me know if that button's working now. And I'll paste a link up here too. So you can also just click the link at the top. So if you want to sign up so what happens is you go to that web page, and then there's a button there to book the consultation. Then it'll take you to a short questionnaire to fill out. Helps us, gather some really helpful information so that we're prepared before we sit down. Oh, Mary, thank you. I'd be happy to. I'm always happy to present at conferences. I do it a lot, so would be my pleasure. Certainly send me the details. My email address, you can send it to here. I'll also add that up here. Oh, I can't. I will post it in here. So, if you'd like me to speak at your conference, then just email me at jono@hubbli.com. And certainly, yeah, this information is usually a big hit at conferences because I don't hold back from the specific tactics. You can take the examples we have, and we do suggest schools try them. We've gotten reviews post webinar that schools have tried to use they had some marketing. They had some folks in the school that were comfortable, using Facebook, the Facebook advertising platform. They tried some targeting ideas that we shared and some copywriting ideas that we shared, and they tell me they get good results from that, which is wonderful if schools can do it on their own, of course. Does anybody have any questions about Facebook advertising, ad design, landing page design? Could also talk about the targeting strategies, what other targeting strategies are available. Could also talk about, you could ask questions about how to, what the emails should be like at different stages of the process, from the point of an interested inquiry to booking a tour. We've run these for many schools, been doing this for years now, and we've seen what works, we see what doesn't. Be happy to get more into the details on specific stages if you like. There's a lot of information, so of course this presentation was high level because you can only do so much in an hour, but we can certainly dig deeper into any of those specific sections of the process. Don't be shy. Ask me any questions you like. Give you guys a little background music while we wrap up the question period. This is actually my band. Before I was a school software developer, I was a drummer.
To the music, get you high, don't hold back. Let it take control. The sun shines here. The days are long and bright. The time is now. Don't disrespect yourself, cause it's clear to me to see. Oh, something's gotta change right now. Welcome to the new world. Don't you see I'm underneath society's drug, yeah. And they tell me that the world's come undone. But if you want to change,
Okay, folks, there's still some folks left. Please let me know if you have any questions. Be happy to address anything on this topic.
feel it to the music, get you high, don't hold back. Said let it take control. I said now move, yeah. Feel it to the music, get you high, don't hold back. Said let it take control. I said now move, yeah. Feel it to the music, get you high, don't hold back. Let it take control. I said now move, yeah. Feel it to the music, get you high, don't hold back. Let it take control.
Okay, great, Donna. Thanks for letting me know.
The sun goes down, and just like everything, the day must end now. What will the nighttime bring? I'll watch the world unfold. I feel the pain of so many souls. Will tomorrow be kind or cold? All you dreamers keep believing, cause we are helpless without meaning. And now I've got to move and I do my things that move like I never before. The sun shines here and we're about to lose control. Yeah. Giving away my wicked means. Gonna live the life that I should lead. Examine all my deeds and fight till I am free. Thought you were the king that makes this world go around now. But you walk around this town like a clown. I said, now when you gonna bring yourself down? Look outside yourself, the time is now. Move, yeah. Feel it to the music, get you high, don't hold back. I said, let it take control. I said, now move, yeah. Feel it to the music, get you high, don't hold back. I said, let it take control. I said, now move, yeah. Feel it to the music, get you high, don't hold back. I said, let it take control. I said, now move, yeah. Feel it to the music, get you high.
Okay, folks, so if anyone else has any questions, we'll stay on for another couple minutes. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up. If you have questions, I'll stay on for as long as you want. If I get any more questions, if I don't get questions, I'll wrap it up in 2 minutes.
It's high time, it's now. I'll just live your life. I live it free and be strong. This time you just can't lose. You better open up your eyes, cause it's a new world. And something's gotta change it. Oh, you were chosen, though we fallen. Hear our voice, cause we are calling. Now, you can hear just what I'm saying. We're in a world that's full of need. We're living a life that's incomplete. What will be so far till you are free. See, society will say that this is for real now. And they'll tell you how to think and how to feel. But if you wanna see the truth revealed, look outside yourself and see the light. Move, yeah. Feel it till the music gets you high. Don't hold back. Said let it take control. I said now move, yeah. Feel it till the music gets you high. Don't hold back. Let it take control. The sun shines here. The days are long and bright. The time is now. Don't disrespect yourself, cause it's clear to me you see. Oh, something's gotta change right now. Welcome to the new world. Don't you see I'm underneath society's drug, yeah.
Hey, okay, so we've got a question. System is can manage, inquiries from any source, whether they come in from different advertising strategies you're using, or you can send them straight from your website over to the landing page, or you can just enter them in manually. Let's say they call in, so you'd have it's just like a simple digital form on the system that you take their details, but instead of writing it down on paper or another system, you could just essentially just put them into the system with a simple form that gathers whatever information. That form can be customizable, so if you like to ask certain questions, we can add those questions to that form, so you can be gathering all the important information you need up front, and then it just enters them into the same system. And depending on what stage they're at, so let's say somebody calls and they just want to go ahead and book a tour over the phone, and you feel that they're ready for that, you've gathered the information, you can just enter them right into the tour booking system the same way. So it's quite easy. If you want, we could certainly set up a consultation, walk you through that. You see, it's really meant to allow you to manage all of your inquiries, not just the ones that come from the Facebook campaign.
The sun goes down, and just like everything, the day must end now. What will the nighttime bring? I'll watch the world unfold. I feel the pain of so many souls. Will tomorrow be kind or cold? All you dreamers keep believing, are helpless without meaning. Now, I've got to move, and to do my things that move like never before. The sun shines here, and we're about to lose control, yeah. Giving away my wicked means, gonna live the life that I should lead. Examine all my deeds and fight till I am free. Thought you were the king that makes this world go around now, but you walk around this town like a clown. I said, now when you gonna bring yourself down? Look outside yourself
Okay, so if there's no more questions, give you another 30 seconds to ask any more questions. Otherwise we'll just we'll wrap it up. And of course, you can always reach me at Jono, Jono at Hubbli.com directly, or you can also just go ahead and schedule a free consultation at Hubbli.com/Montessori Marketing. It's a free consultation, but you will walk away with information that'll be helpful for sure. We'll go a little deeper into the topics today, and but you're also going to learn if this is a type of system that makes sense for your school or not. As G.I. Joe always said, knowing is half the battle.
It's high time, it's now. I just live your life, I live it free and be strong. It's time you just can't lose. You better open up your eyes, cause it's a new world. And something's gotta change it. We were chosen, though we fall. Hear our voice, cause we are calling. Now, you can hear just what I'm saying. We live in a world that's full of need. We live in a life that's incomplete. What will be, so fight till you are free. See, society will say that this is for real now. And they'll tell you how to think and how to feel. But if you wanna see the truth revealed, look outside yourself and see the light. Move, yeah. Feel it till the music gets you high. Don't hold back. Said let it take control. I said now move, yeah. Feel it till the music gets you high. Don't hold back. Let it take control. The sun shines here. The days are long and bright. The time is now.
All right, folks. We will wrap it up here. Thanks so much for joining us. It's an honor. Again, meet us. Come book a free consultation on enrollment marketing strategies at Hubbli.com/Montessori Marketing. And you can simply just email me at Jono, Jono, at Hubbli.com anytime you want with any questions. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, guys.